Hey folks, are you tired of your wives forcing girly books at you?
Read the book!
Because I sure am. And when my wife wanted me to read Khaled Hosseini's 1,000 Splendid Suns, I said heck no. But then she told me that her book club had food, so I decided that I'd give it a chance and read it. Let's take a look at how the book club went.
Alright, we're here.
So where's that book club food you were talking about?
There is no food.
What?
Alright guys, come on in, Brandon's here. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of the book club. Why don't we get started by talking about some of the more intense parts of 1,000 Splendid Suns?
Well, the entire book was pretty intense, but right from the beginning you're sucked in learning about Miriam and her childhood. Just when it looks like she's going to get closer to her father Jalil, her mom commits suicide.
That's very interesting you'd bring that up, Miranda. What did you think, Brandon?
Well...
Come in.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. What did I miss?
We were just talking about some of the more intense parts of the book.
Okay, well, I know that one of the most intense parts I found was when Miriam's father, Jalil, marries her off to Rashid, the shoemaker, who lives in Kabul, and she has to learn how to be a wife when she's only known how to be a daughter.
What about you, Christopher? You read this book, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was mesmerizing and really gripping and beautifully written.
Okay, you did not read this book. What about you, Brandon?
I thought the most intense part was when Layla's house blew up.
Her house blew up?
Yeah, that actually did happen. That's when Layla has to go and live with Miriam and Rashid, and she becomes Rashid's second wife for protection, and she and Miriam have to develop this really interesting relationship.
Alright, so now that we've established Miriam and Layla's relationship, why don't we talk about some more important themes you may have found?
Well, I thought that one of the most important themes was motherhood and how it kind of shapes a woman's perspective of the world around her and what her purpose is.
But isn't that a little too narrow? Wouldn't that only apply to Layla but not Miriam?
Well, no, I don't think so, because Miriam kind of acts as a mother to both Layla and her two children, Zalmay and Aziza. And she ends up protecting all three of them and helping out their family.
I agree with you, Emily, in that just because someone's a biological mother doesn't mean they necessarily embody a good mother figure. Nana, Miriam's mother, calls her daughter Harami, which means bastard child. And Mammy, Layla's mother, sits around and does nothing. So she's not really a good mother to Layla.
I definitely think that the book touches on both the good and the bad aspects of being a mother.
Alright, so why don't we shift our focus to a new topic? Maybe the war and the theme that the struggles of the Afghani people really bring them together as a culture.
Well, I think it's important when we talk about the war to, kind of first start with the chronology of the events.
Hold the phone, there's a war in this?
You betcha. First, the Soviets come in and they take over on the night of the revolution, which actually occurs on the night of Layla's birth. And after that, the Mujahideen take over. It's a group of warlords who take over from the Soviets because they're not happy that communism has been introduced into Afghanistan. But eventually, they have conflict amongst themselves, and they start a civil war of sorts in Afghanistan, and it centers mostly around Kabul. And it gets so bad that eventually people can't even really leave Kabul to escape from the war because they'll be hit by rockets when they're trying to cross the border to escape. And eventually the Taliban comes in and they take over and they make things very strict.
Yeah, I found this page that Miranda bookmarked, and it says that the Taliban wouldn't allow them to sing or dance, and it's really weird. It says that if they kept parakeets, that they would actually kill the birds and beat their owners. And then it talks about, for the women, that they had to stay inside their homes at all times, and that they couldn't even wear charming clothes. That must have really sucked.
You're absolutely right, Chris. It definitely would have been hard for both Miriam and Layla living in Rashid's house. He would make them wear burqas when they went out in public, which covered their entire bodies.
But that was during the Taliban. During the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, Layla's father actually told her that it was a good time for women in Afghanistan.
I think that the most important thing to recognize is regardless of the time period, Layla and Miriam made the most of their situations and stayed resilient despite all of the restrictions that were placed on women in that culture.
Alright guys, I think we touched all the main points on 1,000 Splendid Suns, and I will see you next month when we begin to cover Hamlet.
Bye.
Thanks for coming!
Bye.
So, as you can tell, I didn't read Khaled Hosseini's 1,000 Splendid Suns, but after the book club I immediately went home and read it and found out that there's way more interesting things than we even touched on in the book club. It's got, for all you guys out there, war and violence and action, and for all you ladies, it's got romance and motherhood and friendship. So, if you're still not convinced about reading Khaled Hosseini's 1,000 Splendid Suns, have a listen to what our critics had to say.
What keeps this novel vivid and compelling are Hosseini's eye for the textures of daily life and his ability to portray a full range of human emotions. From the smoldering rage of an abused wife to the early flutters of maternal love when a woman discovers she is carrying a baby.
Love is the emotion, subterranean, powerful, beautiful, illicit, and infinitely patient, that suffuses the pages of Khaled Hosseini's 1,000 Splendid Suns.
Hosseini's writing makes our hearts ache, our stomachs clench, and our emotions reel. He tells the saddest of stories in achingly beautiful prose, through stunningly heroic characters, whose spirits somehow grasp the dimmest rays of hope.
1,000 Splendid Suns is an ambitious work. Once again, the setting is Afghanistan, but this time Hosseini has taken the last 33 years of that country's tumultuous history of war and oppression and told it on an intimate scale through the lives of two women.
Read the book!